Thank you. I'm going to call the meeting to order for the October 3rd, 2019 Committee as a whole for Business Affairs and Administration. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Hines, Mr. Green, Mr. Derman,
Here.
Mr. Loop, Mr. Harrell, Mr. Nation, Mrs. Richardson, Mr. Winkler, Mrs. Drucker,
She's out there with the neighbor.
She may have went to the fair. Let's go.
Mr. Betancourt, Mrs. Lamy, Mr. Hersey, Mr. Bro, Mr. Kuzan, Mrs. Page.
Thank you, Ms. Campbell.
You're welcome.
We had no one, I'm sorry, we're going to dispense with the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance as that was done in our prior meeting, and recognition of visitors by board members. Anyone? Seeing none. We're going to move to public comments, which we did not have anyone sign up for 5 minutes, nor for the 3-minute segment. So we're going to move to item 3, which is the approval of the minutes for the committee meeting held on September 5th, 2019. Do I have a motion, please? Moved by Mr. Green, seconded by Mr. Loop. Any comments or questions regarding the minutes from board members? Seeing none from the public? Seeing none there, let's vote on the item, please.
It's Mrs. Drucker because she's not here.
No,
No, just roll it.
do it.
So we have 11 yeses. 1 abstention, 1 absent. Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda is item 4, which recommends the acceptance of the final revised budgets for fiscal year 2018 through 2019. Superintendent Foles.
Thank you, Mr. Derman. Board members, if you recall, last month we approved the 2019-20 budget. So tonight we are giving you the final approval, asking for the final approval of the final budget for the 2018-19 fiscal term. Ms. Prevost is here and can answer any questions that you may have about that final budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Foles. Any questions by board members regarding the final budget from last year's school? Moved to accept by Mr. Nation, second by Mr. Bro. Any comments or questions from board members? Ms. Richardson.
Ms. Prevost, I just have, I think, a simple question. But I had noticed on the blue document that's reflected of 2018-19, page 1, the total revenue line, I just had noticed there's a difference of about a little over $12 million in revenue. And then if you look at the end of year, the difference, the net difference, it's about I think $7 million. Yeah, $7 million difference. I'm just curious, what is, when we have that type of surplus, do we allocate what we do with that, or?
It rolls into fund balance, so it just builds up the fund balance. The state likes us to have a healthy fund balance. Our policy, I believe, is 19.5%, and we're staying about 20%. So any surplus would roll into fund balance. We did do one extra expenditure that I talked about last month, where we repaid the BP oil. That's just a rainy day fund we have from the legal settlement. We repaid the $4 million that we had used for SRO funds with some of the surplus. So that's why.
Okay. No, and like I said, I know that we have to show an explanation, if you will, for anything above or beyond, I guess, a 5%. So
It's negative. It's a
negative. So only
yeah.
if it's, thank you for the
Yes.
clarification.
Okay.
So, and thank you for the clarification on the surplus.
You're welcome.
That's
Okay.
my only question.
All right, thank you. Any other comments or questions regarding the budget? Seeing none from the board, any from the public? Seeing none from there, please vote on the motion that's on the floor, please. Motion passed with 12 yeas. One, was that me?
Yes, that's you.
I changed it up here.
Can somebody get the Mandeville Robotics and maybe come back and help Mr. Derman run his laptop?
I just pushed the wrong button and I cleared it and I went back.
I can either remove all the votes and everybody vote again, or I can change it.
Just change it. Just change it tomorrow. I pushed the wrong thing and then I went back and hit it.
So then we have 13 yeas.
Okay. Hey, y'all, I'm trying to get this meeting over with so y'all can get to the fair. Now, y'all leave me alone. All right, so that motion passed with 13 yeas, even though it doesn't show it. All right, item 5 is administration, Mr. Javier.
Thank you, Mr. Derman. Your monthly maintenance and controller report was in board docs. Mr. Hoover's here if you have any questions.
Any questions regarding maintenance from board members? Seeing none, Mr. Javier.
Monthly risk management report is also included. Mr. Gaspard is here if you have any questions.
Any questions about risk management? Seeing none, Mr. Javier.
And your transportation report was also included. Mr. Bodie is here if you have any questions.
Any questions regarding transportation from board members? Seeing none, Mr. Javier.
Yes, sir. Proposed school calendar for 2021-22. We stay 2 years out from where we are, so this is to keep us up with that. As per the collective bargaining agreement, there's a committee that's formed to develop 2 calendars. The committee is made up of staff members, administrators, and employees. The employees are appointed by the Federation. There's also parents on there that's appointed by the district PTA. We develop a minimum of 2 calendars each time we meet, and then those calendars are sent out to all of our employees to vote. We give them a deadline, and it's that deadline is over, and the vote is in. So calendar B, which receives 66.8% of the vote, will be the calendar that will be in effect for 21-22. The main differences between the calendars, calendar A and calendar B: calendar A, school started on a Monday, August the 9th. And calendar B, the school started on a Friday, August the 6th. And the end date for students, the last day for students for calendar A was a Monday, May 23rd. Calendar B, it was a Friday, May 20th. I think those were the 2 main differences of how the employees voted. So this is just for informational purposes. There's no action required as per the collective bargaining agreement. Whatever the employees decide on is the calendar for that time.
Thank you,
this is
Mr. Javier.
You're quite welcome.
Mr. Derman, if I could, I know we started this a couple years ago. I know people say 2 years out, but I can tell you, we've really gotten a lot of positive feedback from people who love having the calendars 2 years out. It helps them with their planning, helps them with other things that go on. So it's something we started that's, I think, appreciated by our families and our parents, and that's why we continued it with the 2 years out like that, so.
Thank you, Mr. Foles. I think it does help with everybody trying to set up their busy lifetime
Right.
schedule, so it
Exactly.
works well. Okay, we're going to go to Ms. Javier. Thank you very much for the wealth of information tonight. Ms. Tipton, construction report, please.
Yes, sir, thank you. At Madisonville Elementary, the contractor is proceeding with the building foundation in the gym area and a portion of the classroom building. The library renovation is nearing completion. They're installing the flooring currently. At Mandeville High, the contractor is proceeding with pile cap foundations. And at Sawdell High, the old kitchen renovation is proceeding well. They've built new walls and the sheetrock is being installed. The wall panels and the new canopy at the east entry are also being installed. The process of meeting with the school administrators and architects at each school with capital improvement projects for the new bond issue is going well. We've had an initial meeting at all schools, and we're also meeting with the architects to review their site analysis and other design considerations. And we've started a second round of meetings with some of the school administrators to further the initial project information. So that's going well.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Ms. Tipton from board members regarding construction? Seeing none. We'll keep up with the busy schedule. We appreciate it very much. All right, we're going to move to item 7, which is business affairs. Ms. Prevost.
To consider and take action with respect to adopting a resolution giving preliminary approval to the issuance of general obligation school refunding bonds of St. Tammany Parish Wide School District Number 12 of the Parish of St. Tammany, State of Louisiana, making application to the State Bond Commission for approval of said bonds and providing for other matters in connection therewith. Mr. Sluter, our bond counsel, could not be here tonight, so he sent me what he would normally say to read, so if you don't mind, I'm going to read that. The resolution before the board is for preliminary approval for the refunding of the Series 2011A GO bonds. This refunding is an economic refunding which will reduce debt service each year with no debt extension. Adoption of this resolution will permit bond counsel to timely file an application with the SBC for their November meeting. All savings from this refunding will directly benefit the property taxpayers of the parish through reduced annual payments. None of the savings accrue to the school board. This is similar to the prior refundings undertaken by the board. Since 2004, the board has successfully refinanced 10 of its bond issues with total net savings to property taxpayers of over $11.5 million. Ms. Stephanie Ferry of Raymond James, our municipal advisor, is present to answer any questions concerning the projected savings for this refunding under current market conditions.
Thank you, Ms. Prevost. Ms. Stephanie, I'm going to let you take Grant's place.
Yes, good evening. He sent the B team tonight, so.
No, no,
I'll try to
no,
move through
no.
it quickly because I know people want to go and support the parish fair. So as Terry read out, there's an opportunity to refund $5,275,000 of your Series 2011 bonds. You know, we keep track of where things are in the market, and if you've been watching, we're at incredibly low interest rate levels. The Treasury closed today, the 10-year, just above 1.5%. So, you know, we're at very, very low interest rate levels. There's an opportunity here. You'd achieve about $230,000 in present value savings, and that's about 4.3% of the par amount of the issue. The State Bond Commission puts forth some guidelines for issuers to take a look at when they're doing refunding bond issues. The guideline for this type of issue would be about 1.5%. So at 4.3% PV savings, you're well in excess of that level.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from board members regarding the refinancing? Do I have a motion to accept? Moved by Mr. Nation, seconded by Ms. Drucker. You got a question? No. Any questions from the public regarding the refinancing? Seeing none, we'll vote on the motion, please. Motion passes 13 yeas, no nays. No one abstains or absent. Well, yeah, we do, we got 2 absent, but anyway. Next on the agenda is our monthly financial report. Ms. Prevost.
The July and August monthly financial statements were sent to you electronically. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Any questions regarding the monthly financial reports? Seeing none. Our monthly purchasing report.
The monthly purchase report was sent to you also. Ms. Stevens is here to answer any questions you have.
Mr. Bedcourt has a question.
Terry, what is wayfinding signage? I'm not familiar with that.
This is actually a project that's being worked through the construction department, and it's additional signage at some of the schools to help know where to go once you get into the school. This is something that we've been looking at as part of just overall campus reviews.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Seeing none. We're going to go to announcements from the board president, but she's not here. So, Mr. Nation, do you want to?
Well, in the spirit of Stephanie, I'm also the B team tonight. So announcements from Mrs. Heinz. All schools and central office sites will be closed tomorrow, Friday, October 4th, for the Parish Fair holiday. The Principals of the Year and Teachers of the Year reception will be Thursday, October the 10th at 6 p.m., and the board meeting will follow the reception beginning at 7 p.m. Thank you, Mr. Derman.
Mr. Nation, outstanding job as a B team member. And that concludes our meeting with nothing else to come before, so we are adjourned.